All right, everybody, let's check out my brand new pedalboard build here for 2025. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's video. I'm stoked to make this video because pedal boards, they're fun, dude. Like, it's just like being a kid, man, playing with toys and like mixing and matching, right? There's some sort of charm with building a pedal board. And yeah, dude, I want to show you guys what I've got going on here in my life, in my recording and guitar endeavors, what I've got going on and how I'm choosing to use the pedals that are on this board, okay? It's pretty stripped down and pretty streamlined, but you know, a lot of cool toys here on this build. So let's get into it, all right? So in case you guys are unfamiliar with who I am and what I do, my name is Xander Raymond Charles. I'm a guitar player, obviously, right? And I have many different endeavors here in 2025, whether that's touring all over the world, writing my own original music and putting it out to the world, collabing with artists, writing for artists, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I love to do with the guitar, and I'm very fortunate and thankful that I'm in the position to do so. And this pedal board really helps me out and helps me create and helps me do my job, essentially. And this build right here specifically is for my studio use, you know, in my house, if you will. This pedal board right here really helps me capture the ideas that I have in my head, what I want to create, all the different tones, all the different features, etc. This is it right here, okay? So let's go, man. Let's start from my left, your right, this one right here. Obviously, we have a Boss tuner, you know, nothing crazy, nothing elaborate, right? But this right here is my tuner that I've had on my pedal board ever since I got it, probably like 2019, 2020, something like that. This thing's been all over the place with me. This thing is all reliable at this point. Reason why I went with the Boss pedal is because 1, they're easy to find. 2, they're virtually indestructible. And 3, Boss pedals have a buffer inside of them. In case you guys are unfamiliar with what a buffer is, I really don't even know too much about it, but I know that a buffer allows your signal to carry through the entire signal chain. Like if you have a lot of pedals or if you have a long cable run, your signal can die as it goes through that long chain, right? A buffer gives it a little extra juice, a little extra, you know, kick in the pants, so to speak. So yeah, dude, just a buffer right at the beginning of my signal chain. Up next, one of my this thing's heavy. One of my new favorite toys that I've got here in 2025 is the Whammy pedal from Digitech. And the reason why I've put this on my board is because here in 2025, I'm obsessed with Floyd Roses, right? Go figure. Anybody who's been watching my channel since like the early days, I've said it a million times, like Floyd's and Whammy bars, they just didn't gel with me because I couldn't keep them in tune, yada, yada, yada. Here in 2025, I've kind of figured them out, or I just don't really care how not stable they are because the tones and the riffs that I can create with a Whammy bar are so inspiring to me and I love them so much. Corpse Fate! But I only really have 2 or 3 guitars with Floyd Roses on them. And I have a bunch of hardtails that I love to play, like my Jim Root Strat, my Signature, my V, my Lefty Strat over there. I have a lot of guitars that don't really have the capability to do dive bombs, right? Well, enter this pedal right here. This allows me to get that sound, those dive bomb sounds, or you know, those pitch up sounds that I could get with a Floyd Rose. Now I can just do the same thing with this pedal, right? I mean, one song that comes to mind is the song Manifest that I created with an artist by the name of Grace Blue, and it's probably my second most popular song here in 2025 in terms of what music I've released. And this piece of gear, this whammy pedal is paramount for that song. So yeah, dude, that's why I've got the whammy pedal on my board. It's just so I can create dive bombs with my guitars that I love that don't have Floyd Roses on them. Up next, we have this blue and white pedal right here. This is a phaser from a company called Red Witch. This is the Invidium phaser, and this pedal is coming into my life at a time when I'm really obsessed with the phaser modulation effect. I've always had some sort of color on my guitar tones, especially for leads. Color meaning like a subtle chorus, a subtle flange, a subtle phaser. I love adding some texture and some color into my lead guitar playing. Specifically, most recently, I released some music with Stephen Carpenter of Deftones, Eric Bobo of Cypress Hill, and Richie Laundress in their supergroup called Soul Invicto. I did all of the lead guitar work on some instrumental tracks, and every single one of those lead guitars had some sort of phaser on them. Real quick, I want to let you guys know that this video is sponsored by Sweetwater, as they're asking me to share this pedal with you guys. I'm out of hands. They're asking me to share this pedal with you. I love this thing. I've had this on my board ever since I got it, and I haven't looked back. You can get really crazy, quirky, wild, warbly, insane effects with this thing, or you can get a more subtle, kind of lush phaser type of sound. And I love all the different options I can get with this pedal. We have 4 different knobs, 2 dip switches. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can run this pedal. So yeah, dude, this thing's called the Invidium Phaser from Red Witch. A huge shout out to Sweetwater for sending this over. I reached out to them and said, hey, I'm really obsessed with phasers right now, especially with my lead guitar playing. Any way we could work out a deal right here. So they sent this over. Huge shout out to Sweetwater. They're asking me to share it with you all. And I love this thing, and I love promoting it and standing behind this phaser. I'll put a product link down below in the pinned comment. It's a link to where you can go check out one of these phasers yourself and scoop it up. Use that link. It helps me out, helps Sweetwater out, helps Red Witch out. So thank you guys so much for doing so. This phaser right here, it's my favorite modulation pedal that I've got right now. Actually, it's more or less the only one minus a whammy pedal, but it just really adds some subtle color to my lead guitar playing. Moving right along, next in the chain, we have the Gary from Earthquaker Devices. Now, I have a dedicated video with this pedal, but in case you guys missed it, 1, go check it out, I appreciate it. But 2, this thing is an overdrive and a fuzz pedal built into one singular unit. So you have 2 pedal switches right here, and you can use the overdrive by itself, the fuzz by itself, or you can use them simultaneously. How I personally like to use it is in front of my amp, quote unquote, which is what we're going to get to next. But I like to have the overdrive on like a traditional overdrive, volume all the way up, gain all the way down. And then I like to have the fuzz circuit on as well, with just ever so slightly a little bit of volume and no drive at all with the fuzz. That just adds a subtle layer of texture and gnarliness that I really love. I personally don't really like stock distortion sounds. I like things to be somewhat unique, for better or for worse. I certainly love this setup that I've got going on because, like I said, it adds a little bit of a unique flavor, some texture, all the above, right? gonna hold my pedal board like this. This thing's heavy, dude. I also did arms at the gym this morning, so I'm a little shaky. The Nano Cortex, I'm obsessed with it, man. Reason being is because I don't even really technically own my quad Cortex anymore. It's still mine. I still own it, but let me explain. That thing's always in storage and it's always in Nashville. Right now, currently, it's in a fly rig getting ready to be shipped to Japan and then Australia and then come back home in the States and then have more endeavors, I guess we'll say. I can't say what's after Australia, but that thing's always being updated by the production team with the band or the artist Elijah. The dude who runs all the tones and stuff like that is always working on my quad Cortex in terms of like building MIDI patches and building like MIDI key switches so like the set list can switch with the quad Cortex and vice versa. That thing's always being updated and messed with. So whenever I fly into or drive into Nashville, that thing's good to go, like for tour. So with the Nano Cortex, it allows me to get my tones that I love from the quad Cortex at home. And I've been using the Nameless suite inside of my Nano Cortex. So what I did was I went on the Cortex Cloud and then I found somebody captured the Nameless plugin and then put it into the Cortex Cloud so I could download it onto my Nano Cortex. I use the Nano Cortex literally as just like an amp and a cab, just very dry, no effects. You can use the Cortex Cloud and the app and all that stuff for effects like overdrives, pitches, modulation, reverbs, delays. For me, I like having all of that in an analog sense where like I can step on pedals and manipulate pedals. The Nano Cortex is literally just amp and cab for me. And anything Marshall or something in the Marshall world, that's my favorite type of amp anymore. I always went back and forth between boogies and EVHs, but like here since like 2022, 2023, Marshall's where it's at for me. So the Nameless looks like a modded Plexi. So it has like that real kind of clear, articulate, glassy type of sound. It's hard to explain, but those of you who know what I'm talking about, you understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I got the Nameless on here just as a stock amp. And then the cab, I think it's just like a 4x12, either Cali or UK. So Marshall or Mesa. I don't even really remember which one I use. But I've also been trying like JCM 800 captures. I've been trying like some chainsaw stuff as well sometimes. But yeah, dude, Marshall. That's my thing right there. So everybody, that's my pedal board build here in 2025. Thank you so much to Sweetwater for sending that thing over. I love the Invidium phaser from Redwish. I think sick. I love all these toys, man. Like I said, anytime I made a dedicated video on all this stuff, you best believe it's going to stay in my pedal board. And here we are in 2025. And my pedal board is just a culmination of just adding cool pedals and cool textures and just continuously building what I deem fit for what I'm doing right now. So my pedal board does look similar from last year in 2024, but it's a little bit different here. And yeah, I'm super stoked with this build. This thing just works for me. Anytime I make music, it's running through this. Anytime I collab with an artist, running through this. Anytime I, write anything, it's all through this, man. So yeah, dude, this is my pedal board. I dig it a lot, man. And yeah, I'm really proud of it. And I hope you guys just dug hearing me geek out and talk about it, okay? So with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Be sure to check out this pedal down below in the pinned comment as well as the description. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I love you guys so much, man. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in a video very, very soon. Later.